Krishna Hare Hare, Hare Rama Hare Rama, Rama Rama Hare Hare.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudiriye. Nasta Prayeshu Bhajeshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhakti Bhavati Naistiki.
Krishnaya Vasudevaya Devaki Nandanaya Cha Nandagopa Kumaraya Govindaya Namo Namah Namo Pankajanabhaya Namo Pankajanabhine Namo Pankajanetaya Namaste Pankajangraye.
Jai, well done, Raj. So, Hare Krishna, dear devotees, thank you very much for joining us today. And we'd like to seek your good wishes and your blessings so that we can continue looking at the Canto 4. It's from chapter 6 onwards. So, wanted to seek the blessings of Guru Maharaj and Srila Prabhupada so that we can please the Supreme Lord, Radha Krishna, by studying this fantastic literature, which is non-different from Krishna himself. So, okay. So, so this is we're looking at the 6th chapter, and this is the 35th verse in the 6th chapter. Vidyatapo yoga patam astitam tam adishwaram charantam vishwasuridam vatsalya loka mangalam.
The demigod soul Lord Shiva, situated in his perfection as the master of the senses, knowledge, fruitive activities, and the path of achieving perfection. He was the friend of the entire world. By virtue of his full affection for everyone, he was very auspicious.
So the qualities of Lord Shiva. So if we recall yesterday, Lord Shiva created Virabhadra, and who destroyed Daksha and the Yagya, the sacrifice that they were performing. So then the Lord Brahma satisfies Lord Shiva. This is entitled. This chapter is entitled by that name. So what happens is Lord Brahma approaches. Being approached by the injured demigods, Lord Brahma explained how, by severely offending the immensely powerful Lord Shiva, they could never be happy, and should therefore beg his forgiveness. Brahma then took the devatas to Kailash, Lord Shiva's abode. So, what does Kailash look like? Heavenly. Seeing the beauty of Kailash, the demigods were struck with wonder. It was full of divine beings, mountains, jewels, valuable plants, waterfalls, and sweet sounds of birds and bees. The forest was saturated with aromatic lotus fragrances. The many animals there, such as deer, monkeys, cows, boars, tigers, and elephants, fully enjoyed their lives amongst the lakes, the flowering plants, and fruit-bearing trees. Kailash Hill is surrounded by Alkananda, Ganga, which is made more auspicious by the bathing of Sati. And then there's a little description of the Saugandhika forest. Passing over this forest, the demigod saw its natural opulence of singing birds, bees, fruits, sandalwood trees, and lakes with jeweled bathing ghats, which were full of swans. They also saw the region of Kuver. So Kuver is the treasurer of the devatas, and he's a great devotee of Lord Shiva as well. Under a huge banyan tree, and they said this banyan tree is absolutely humongous, the demigods found Lord Shiva in a peaceful, grave mood. He was surrounded by many saintly persons like the 4 Kumaras, seated on a deer skin holding Rudraksh beads, his finger raised in the mode of argument. Shiva was speaking to those present about the absolute truth. Lord Shiva is described as the chief of all thinkers, Adhyam Manum. That's in the text 39. Since he is always thoughtful, regarding how to deliver everyone from their conditioned life. He appeared as Advaitacharya, who appealed for Lord Chaitanya to appear for the deliverance of the fallen conditioned soul. This is the mercy of Lord Shiva, actually. Those who nobody cares for at all, those who are completely rejected from society, from the world, nobody gives monkeys for them. Lord Shiva gives them shelter. This is his kindness. So he's described to be a great thinker because he's always thinking about how to save souls. Now, somewhere I had a picture of that. Ah, there you go. There he is. This is a banyan tree. So we had our photographer ready to click the picture. When Lord Brahma appears, there he is. Lord Shiva is surrounded by the sages. There's Narad Muni. There's sages everywhere listening to...
Prabhuji, there is Kuber Maharaj.
Where's Kuver then? Here?
Yes, Prabhuji.
So you recognize him, huh? You've been here. So Lord Brahma's prayers, having been worshipped by Lord Shiva and the sages, Lord Brahma praised Shiva as the most powerful personality in the creation, maintenance, and destruction of the universe. Sometimes Lord Shiva is praised on the level of Vishnu because he is an incarnation of the Lord. Lord Shiva acts on behalf of Vishnu, who is untouched by the external energy. But when Vishnu comes in touch with the external energy, he appears in his feature as Shiva. So I hope devotees are clear about this. There's no difference between Vishnu and Shiva, except when Vishnu wants to touch this world, he becomes Shiva. That's the only difference. Lord Brahma asked Lord Shiva to overlook the mischief of Daksha and his followers, to arrange for the completion of Daksha's sacrifice, to bring Daksha back to life, and to heal those injured at the sacrifice. So this was a request by Lord Brahma to Shiva. And Shiva is powerful. He can bring back Daksha to life. So there's a few verses here, very, very instructive verses. And these are from 45 onwards. So they fall within Lord Brahma's prayers to Lord Shiva. So I just want to read them, such instructive verses. So Brahma is saying to Shiva, "O most auspicious Lord, you have ordained the heavenly planets, the spiritual Vaikuntha planets, the impersonal Brahman sphere, as respective destinations of the performers of auspicious activities. Similarly, for others who are miscreants, you have destined different kinds of hells, which are horrible and ghastly. Yet sometimes it is found that their destination are just the opposite. It's very difficult to ascertain the cause of this." So Brahma's very bewildered sometimes that how can Shishupal and Putana, who behave so badly, get the association of the Lord? And yet Daksha, who is my servant, is now given this punishment, right? Something like that. So this Lord Brahma is showing his bewilderment. "My dear Lord, devotees who have fully dedicated their lives onto your lotus feet certainly observe your presence as Paramatma in each and every being. And as such, they do not differentiate between one living being and another. Such persons treat all living entities equally. They never become overwhelmed by anger like animals who can see nothing but without differentiation." So Lord Brahma is appealing to Lord Shiva. Now you've done your job. We need some things from you. You've punished Daksha, which is fine. You're allowed to do that. You're the Lord. But now we want some favors from you. Persons who observe everything with differentiation, who are simply attached to fruitive activities, who are mean-minded, who are always pained to see the flourishing condition of others. Like we were just singing Bhaktivinoda Thakur's song. When we see somebody suffering, we become so happy. Oh, yes, he's got COVID. Great. That's really mean. That's mean attitude. And thus, who gives distress to them by uttering harsh and piercing words have already been killed by providence. But we should understand, if that is our mood and attitude, we already finished. We're already dead. We'll be killed by karma and our providence. Thus, there is no need for them to be killed again by an exalted personality like you. So then this, you could argue that he's really having a go at Shiva, but actually Shiva's mood is that, and we'll see that in the next chapter, what his mood was in punishing Daksha. My dear Lord, if in some places materialists who are already bewildered by the insurmountable illusory energy of the Supreme Godhead sometimes commit offenses, a saintly person with compassion does not take this seriously. Knowing that they commit offenses because they are overpowered by illusory energy, he does not show his prowess to counteract them. These verses are actually, there's so much depth in them. It's really not doing them any justice by doing such a quick overview over them. So at some point, we will need to come back to these because there's so much to learn from these verses, much more than other verses that we come across. So a lot of amazing instructions here, but I'm going to skip over them for the time being. Any questions or any comments on what we've talked about so far?
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
When I was reading this last night, it reminded me of Canto 8, Chapter 3, Gajendra Moksha. The same opulences are there. How rich this material world was, this Mother Earth was, how rich, and it's kind of similar description there also.
Yes,
it's very nice.
Yes,
yeah,
indeed.
And also about Lord Shiva, when I was thinking, there is a pastime coming soon. That's why Sati has to go. So we will come about that later. Yes, but very nice. This the way Brahma is talking to Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva is so composed, so calm, and he will be pacified.
That's right. That's what we're going to see now. He's already pacified. He's already cool.
Yes,
but he had to punish Daksha, not as punishment. It was actually like a child punishing his son. That's
but
what,
in the purport, it also says that in this Kali Yuga or in any ages, when we perform the yajna, we have to make sure that we are satisfying the 33 crore Devi Devtas, because if we miss one, then we will get a punishment. So we have to make sure. But then here they omitted Lord Shiva. They didn't offer him his share prasadam. That's why it happened. So it is cautioning us that when we do yajna, we make sure that when we offer to Lord Vishnu, everybody is satisfied.
But actually, that's not the main cause of this, Mataji. The main cause is Vaishnava Parad.
Yes.
The fact that he was a demigod, didn't get his share, doesn't matter.
That's what I'm telling. But then also it goes, Srila Prabhupada goes to explain that when we do yajna, we should be sure that we are satisfying, but we cannot satisfy, so that the Harinam is best in this Kali Yuga. Instead of doing yajna and satisfying all of them, we should do the Harinam Sankirtan yajna. That's what he said.
Yeah. But this point is very important, that Lord Shiva, whether he gets a share or not, actually he is an incarnation of the Lord. He is not different from Vishnu. He's what is it? No, he's Ashutosh, yeah, but he is not different from Vishnu. The only difference is he's in touch with this world. Right?
Yes.
So he's, whether he gets a share or not, actually everything belongs to him. It's all his. It's actually everything is his anyway, because he is in charge of this world, right?
Yes, in his explanation.
But he's not an ordinary devata who is eligible for a share. It all belongs to him anyway, because he's Lord Shiva. But what happened, what Daksha made the mistake of, was the Vaishnava Parad. The fact that he said, you're not going to get a share of this is by the by, because it all belongs to him anyway. But the fact that he started calling him names, that Vaishnava Parad is what got him.
Yes.
That's what is the punishment was for that.
Yes,
And
but
then,
Brahmaji explaining that he's begging Lord Shiva to remediate the situation and let the yagya complete and bring all of them to life, and then you can take your share. So Brahma is explaining also. So yes, he doesn't need a share, but then it's our duty, it's our concern that everyone should get a fair share of the yagya. That's why we cannot do it.
The reason why he got upset, very angry, was the offense to Sati. That was the Vaishnava Paras. Because Sati is, again, no ordinary daughter. She's actually the superintendent of this world. She's Durga Mata. She's in charge of this world with Shiva. They're both in charge. So then if you're offending the greatest personalities of this world, there's going to be a reaction. And that reaction was actually, like we'll see in this verse, in this next chapter, was just like a father treating a son, teaching a son. So Shiva took no personal enmity against Daksha. And we'll see Daksha's attitude as well. So let's move on to chapter 7. Oh, Naniben, yeah?
Yes, Prabhuji, it's a bit confusing. Shiva in charge of this material world. Is it ever mentioned in Bhagavad Gita about anything about Shiva being in charge?
Bhagavad Gita is quite a summarized philosophy. Bhagavatam is more detailed. And in Bhagavatam, we see the position of Shiva. Like it's explained how when Vishnu glances in this world, that glance is actually Lord Shiva. So that glance, which actually gives life to this world, is Lord Shiva.
Okay.
And he's not different from Vishnu, apart from being in touch with the modes of nature. He's directly in contact. Vishnu has no contact with this material world. As soon as he contacts this material world, he becomes Shiva. That's the only difference. So it's a very subtle difference.
Hare Krishna. In the sixth question that the sages ask to Sutta Goswami, number 4 is, what is the activities of the Lord when he takes a material incarnation, like to meet in this material world? So this is the question that the sages ask. And then Lord Shiva, Brahma also is mentioned there. That the Lord, when he get in touch with his material world, he becomes Shiva. The number 4, the question of number 4 is this one.
Is that okay, Nani Ben?
Yes, Prabhuji. Yes, yeah, okay.
Yeah, it can get confusing because this the process of creation is complex, absolutely complex. Position of Shiva is very, very difficult to understand. There's 3 tattvas that are very hard to understand: Shiva, Guru, and Radha. These 3 tattvas truths are very difficult to understand. So Shiva is one of them, and Guru is another. And of course, Srimati Radharani, nobody understands, including Krishna himself. So, what chance have we got? Okay, let's have a look at this chapter 7.
Daksha Uvacha Bhuyananugraho Bhavata Krito Me Dandastaya Mai Brito Yadapi Pralapada Na Brahma Bandhushu Chavyam Bhagavan Avagna Tubhyam Haresh Chakuta Evadita Priteshu. King Daksha said, "My dear Lord Shiva, I committed a great offense against you, but you are so kind that instead of withdrawing your mercy, you have done me a great favor by punishing me. You and Lord Vishnu never neglect even useless, unqualified Brahmins. Why then should you neglect me, who am engaged in performing sacrifices?"
So sometimes it's a little bit like the spiritual master when his disciple makes a mistake. If the spiritual master doesn't correct the disciple, then that means he's not showing his mercy. So the obligation is a thankless task. Guru Maharaj used to often say, this is a thankless task. I have to correct you. But by correcting you, you might feel a little bad. But actually, if I don't correct you, then I'm not showing you the right way. I'm not teaching you properly. It's the same thing Daksha is saying. Because you punished me, you showed me your daya, your mercy. If you hadn't punished me, then you would have not shown me your kindness. So this is the mood of a disciple taking the punishment from the guru. It's a really amazing mood. Everybody makes mistakes, and Daksha made a big one, but he was punished and he was forgiven. So this is really important. It's a very important pastime. So we may look at Daksha in a bad light, but actually, who doesn't make a mistake in this world? That person should not be in this world. He should be in the spiritual world. So everybody's going to make mistakes. This chapter teaches us how those mistakes are corrected, and then that person is purified. This is called the sacrifice performed by Daksha. Lord Shiva's benedictions. Being pleased by the words of Brahma, Shiva blessed Daksha to receive a new head, the head of a goat, since he had the intelligence of a goat. Shiva corrected the demigods because they were childish and not intelligent, but didn't take their offense seriously. This is the point. He didn't take it offense. He didn't take their offenses seriously, but he had to punish them. The remaining persons who were injured were blessed either to be healed or to be able to use the senses of others. So, and there's quite a lot of detail given how, like somebody lost their teeth, so they were able to chew by somebody else who was able to chew for them, like that, different things. Daksha revived. Everyone was pleased by the words of Shiva, saying, "Sadhu, sadhu." Back at sacrificial arena, Daksha had his life returned when the head of the sacrificial goat was joined to his body. Daksha cheerfully remembered his daughter, Sati. So that must have been such a horrible wake-up call for him. Oh my God, what have I done? My daughter. And also repented his offenses to Lord Shiva, accepting Lord Shiva's punishment as a benediction. So this is it. The punishment was actually a gift. So some people may ask, what do you mean is a gift? How can, being given a head of a goat be a gift? But this is the whole point about spiritual life: humility, sincerity. We're not this body. This is the sort of thing that is learnt at this highest of levels. Because Daksha fell foul of that due to pride, thinking, I am Prajapati, I'm higher than Shiva. I have this body, which is full of luster. As soon as he walked in, it was like the sun had walked in. But now that ego had gone, and he'd realized his position, and he was grateful. This is really amazing. This is really amazing. So this is the actual position. Lord Shiva is supreme, considering Daksha's position. Being pardoned by Lord Shiva and with the permission of Brahma, Daksha again began the sacrifice. And when the ghee was poured into the fire, accompanied by the chanting of Yagya Vedic mantras, actually not Yagya, Yajur, it's the Yajur Ved. This is wrong. Yajur Ved is one of the four Vedas, which contains these mantras which are spoken in this sacrifice. Lord Vishnu appeared. He was smiling and beautifully decorated. And again, there's a very nice description of Lord Vishnu. He's seated on the shoulders of Garud. As soon as the Lord appeared, all directions were illuminated, diminishing the luster of Brahma and the others present. And everybody offered immediately respect and praise to the Lord. And then there's a whole description how the demigods and the members of the assembly, they offer these prayers and show their appreciation of Lord Vishnu's different opulences. And those generally relate to their own services. So, for example, Daksha praised him as the Lord of sacrifices. pure, transcendental, fearless, completely spiritual, no tinge of material contamination. The priests accepted, they do not know the truth about him, and that's thanks to Nandi's curse. Members of the assembly accepted him as the shelter in troubled situations. Shiva glorified his lotus feet as the source of all benedictions and worshipped by the sages. So Shiva, extraordinarily, he's non-different, if you like, from Vishnu, apart from being in touch with this world. But he also recognizes that there is a difference between me and Vishnu, and he is my source as well, which he is. Bhrigu praised him as the friend, protector, and supersoul, and he begged forgiveness for offenses, because Bhrigu was part of this entourage of Daksha, who didn't chastise Daksha when they should have. Brahma accepted that the Lord can't be known through any material process of knowledge. So with our material senses and material intelligence, we won't be able to understand the Lord. We have to link in with the Gita and the Bhagavatam to understand the Lord. See the Lord through the eyes of scripture. Indra appreciated the Lord's 8 arms with weapons to kill his enemies, the demons. So this is always Indra's concern. My dear Lord, please protect me from my enemies. And he always does. He's known as, I've forgotten the name now. He's known as the protector of Indra. It's one of the verses in the beginning of the Bhagavatam. The demigod's wives and Prashuti, the wife of Daksha, prayed for the success of the sacrifice. The sages state that his activities are astounding. He's not contaminated by them. The residents of Siddhaloka glorify his pastimes and desire to never leave such blessings. Never leave such bliss, I think it is, such bliss. The mystics state that he is affectionate to the bhaktas, but not to the jnanis. So that's why we want to become bhaktas. So these prayers are important. We might find them a little bit hard to digest, but like Jayanti was saying the other day, she was reading Dhruv Maharaj's pastimes and thinking, he's a 5-year-old kid. How can he know such beautiful prayers? He's blessed by the Lord, of course. But we try to read these prayers, understand these prayers, so that that opportunity will come to us one day, where the Lord will be there and we'll need to pray to him. Of course, he'll bless us to give us the intelligence to pray to him, but that's why we're studying these prayers. Personified Vedas praise him as the source of religion, austerity, penance. The fire god Agni appreciated his energies, which he received in the form of offerings. Devas requested his protection, appreciating also he maintains and destroys. The Gandharvas praise him as others are portions of his portions. Vidyadhara stated that a materialist can reject illusion simply by hearing Krishna Katha. So in this way, everyone according to his position glorified the Lord. So this is, these prayers are given in very brief in this chapter. So it's worth looking at them. Later on, we'll see in the 10th canto, there's a whole chapter of prayers by the personified Vedas. And it's so much details given there. But here it's nicely summarized. So it's worth looking at these in a little bit of detail. So then, verses 48 onwards, Lord Vishnu's instructions. They've all prayed to him, so now he's giving them instructions. Lord Vishnu, the maintainer, explained that Brahma and Shiva are dependent manifestations of his energy, who create and destroy the universe. Lord Vishnu himself is a super soul and witness of all, as well as the origin of everything. Real peace is achieved when one realizes all beings are simultaneously one and different with the Lord. The jivas are non-different from the Lord because they are his Tatastha Shakti, marginal energy. And Shakti is non-different from Shaktiman. So Vishnu is laying down the law. Yes, even Shiva is dependent on him, because remember, when Vishnu wants to touch this world, he becomes Shiva. So in one sense, they're not different, they're the same, but they're also different because Vishnu is never in touch with this world. Successful sacrifice. At the sacrifice's completion, Daksha worshipped Vishnu. Then he worshipped Brahma, then he worshipped Shiva, then he satisfied all the demigods and other persons assembled there. He was then blessed by the demigods, who then left for their different abodes after blessing Daksha. Sati's rebirth. Having given up her previous body as Daksha's daughter, Sati took her next birth as the daughter of the Himalayas in the womb of Menaka. Then as Ambika, or Parvati, she again accepted Shiva as her husband. Maitreya told Vidur that he had heard this story from Uddhav and concluded that if one hears again,
And again narrates.
and again narrates with faith and devotion this story of Daksha's yagya as it was conducted by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Vishnu, then certainly one is cleared of contamination of material existence. So that's the end of the 7th chapter. Any questions, any comments? Tough chapters, lot to learn, quite confusing as well. Hopefully we haven't confused devotees even more. Is everybody stunned? What's going on?
Haribol, Nabi.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Haribol. Nice chapters, actually, and some really nice concepts come out from this, and we realize the personalities that are involved and how Daksha is actually, although through punishment, but it's actually, in a way, it's a blessing in disguise, like it says, So this idea of sort of punishment is there within the Shastras recommend that the punishment has to happen, especially when countries and people try to get away with crime and all that, then they're left, not being punished or something like that. Then there are consequences. Karma builds up for the countries as well. For the governments that are involved. And I suppose there's also the idea of remorse, where then like Daksha showed that he realized he had made a mistake, and at least he was repenting, and also his daughter Sati. So this idea of remorse, because I know that there are times when I've sat with one or two young kids and they would not accept the fact that they've actually ended up either stabbing somebody or killing somebody and all that, and then they don't show any remorse. They just feel, but it's actually it's not good for them in a way, but they have to come to a point where they do show some remorse for the crimes that they have done as well. So this whole idea from the Shastras, it is recommended, like the law of the material nature, that there has to be correction. If there's no correction or punishment, and there is no remorse on the side of the from the side of the perpetrators as well, then there is no balance redressed, in a way. So no progress, and then eventually everyone has to come to some sort of spiritual platform anyway, at some point. So it's a matter of choice then as well.
Yeah, no, it's a good point.
Okay.
Good. Well, thank you very much. Thank you for sharing that. Very good point. Puja,
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Oh, okay.
sorry, Naniben was there
Okay,
before.
okay, please, after her, after. Yeah.
Yes, Prabhuji, in one of the, while I was reading the verses, chapter 7, when Daksha was killed, then he had the head of a goat after the sacrifice, after the Vishnu came.
Yes.
And or sorry, by Shiva. But then there was something mentioned about his consciousness, that even though he had died, his consciousness was the same. And therefore it appeared when, after he got a goat's head, he appeared as if he was in a deep sleep.
He woke up from the deep sleep.
Yeah, but other way, before it said that he had actually died. So that was a little bit confusing for me.
Yes.
And
In
his
one
consciousness,
sense,
that
what
it was the
happened?
same.
Shiva brought him back into his body. This is the power Shiva has, because he can bring the soul back into, and the great sages can have that same power. Narad Muni and Angira Maharaj, when the son of Chitraketu, we'll see that in the 9th canto, he died. And the sages called the soul back into the body by the strength of their spiritual power. So Shiva is non-different. He can do the same. He can bring back the soul into the body. And he can give him that consciousness as well that he had in that body. What happened with Chitraketu's son, for example, Narad Muni did not allow him to maintain the consciousness of the baby. This is the mercy of Narad Muni. So when the baby came back into Chitrakoot's son's body again, he was actually a self-realized soul. And he instructed his father and mother about Krishna consciousness. But here what happened, slightly different scenario. Shiva brought Daksha back, but he also brought him in the same consciousness so that he remembers what happened. Which is what he did. He remembered, he repented, and he apologized.
Yes. Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
They have some great souls have this power. Shiva is definitely one of those who can bring back the soul into the body again and give them the same consciousness that they had. Otherwise, he was dead. Correct. He was going to go to his next life, which would have been not a very nice place. And that's why he was thankful to Shiva that actually what you've done, you've saved me because you've corrected my wrong behavior, my bad consciousness. And now I'm corrected. I understand. I am not this body. I should not be proud. And I offer myself to you. So actually, that was a great blessing by Shiva to bring him back in that same body again, albeit with a goat's head.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thanks.
Thank you, Nani. Thank you for thinking through that.
Okay,
Are you Lekamaji? Yeah.
Yes, I'm here. So going back to Madhusudan Prabhu's comments, I would like to ask something here. So in this, where does a forgiveness come? Where does it fit? Where does the forgiveness fit in here? Because if we have committed a sin, right? Say I have killed someone, in my next life, that person will come back to kill me. So it is like a vicious circle, it's go round and round. So where does forgiveness come in here?
Well, the forgiveness was there, wasn't it? Because Shiva...
No. I'm not talking about the Bhagavatam. I'm talking in general, right? So it's just a question. It comes into my mind every time. I just want to find an answer. That is difficult for me. Maybe Madhusudan Prabhu can help, or you can help. If like we keep killing, like you know what? When I go to the manor, I saw this the Goshala, and I saw this person who has got the head of a cow, and is killing the cow who has got the head of a man. So I think if we keep coming and we keep killing, so where is forgiveness in here? Where can we stop this circle of going round and round and coming back and paying for these debts? Or can someone can stop somewhere and forgive, and then maybe the circle of going round and round will stop?
No, but there can only be forgiveness if somebody's understood the
Right.
wrong of their wrong mentality. If you can't understand that there's something wrong, then you're going to continue, aren't you? Then the
Yes.
cycle of karma keeps continuing.
So that means that when we come on the level of a devotee, then we understand all this and then we stop. Okay.
Yes,
Okay.
that makes sense. Yeah.
And just to comment on that, I was actually going to make that third point about forgiveness, that when Daksha asks for forgiveness from Lord Shiva, he's actually saving himself from a greater effect of karma. He could have been in more hellish conditions.
Good.
But by forgiveness and by showing remorse, he's actually been saved by at least having a godsend rather than, lifetimes in hellish condition. Who knows, who knows what? I mean, I'm not the judge or the jury or the executioner here. I mean, it's in the hands of Lord Shiva, but there is certainly that point that forgiveness is not to help the victim. The karma will be there, but the perpetrator has to free himself as well at some point of the guilt, at least.
Yes.
So that is that opportunity for the perpetrator to seek for that solace. Otherwise, there is heavier karma ahead for that individual anyway. But that forgiveness lessens the burden to a certain extent, I suppose.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Prabhuji. And now I have got this as a point because I'm preparing a class on forgiveness, the power of forgiveness. So now I've got this I can put into this text about Daksha. Yeah, this is a good point. Thank you.
That class that you're preparing, once you prepared it, you can also deliver it with us as well, which is a very nice, because
it is not for now. It's for like a couple of weeks because
that's
now.
Fine. No. A couple of weeks.
Yes, I will show Prabhuji.
Yeah.
I will.
A couple of weeks, 3 weeks time is good, because we hold so many grudges. I know I do. Right? So we need to let go of them.
Everyone does that. We can say, no, I don't. Unknowingly, everyone does that. So we have to come to a point where we can say, no, I am wrong here. So yes, my class is going to, I'm starting on it. I have some points, but this is a good point to add into it. Thank you so much. Thank you, Madhusudan Prabhu.
Okay, yeah, no problem. But also the forgiveness is to sort of set the perpetrator free, but it comes at a point when that forgiveness, there is some sort of love of spiritual aspect appearing within the heart of the perpetrator. Otherwise, his forgiveness is not going to come very easily.
Yeah. That's a good point.
Yes. Thank you, Prabhuji.
Okay, anybody else? Any questions, any comments? We haven't heard from a few devotees for a while. Geeta, anything you'd like to share or ask? Aruna?
No, just listening and understanding that forgiving somebody is very difficult, and how to forgive. I know I hold grudges.
Yeah.
There's some people who hurt me.
Yeah, just admitting that alone is actually a really good step in the right direction. I know what you mean, though. I know what you mean.
But then I think I must have forgiven them, so that's why I've come this far. Otherwise, I would be still in that place where I cannot move forward. I don't know if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
A lot of sense.
It's all interesting. Very, very interesting. Thank you. Learned a lot.
That's good. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
I'm also learning a lot, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna,
I'm sure Hare Krishna. I'm also learning a lot. I'm sure I have many grudges. I don't know whether I've forgiven people or not. So I'm still a dilemma.
Nice, good.
Go on.
No more. You go on.
Now, Kamashi, go. We'd like to hear you.
I think I lost the thought. Forgiving somebody is is the ego and the mind then having a battle, isn't it? You want to forgive, but then at the same time you feel, why should I? And in the battle you sort of lost, so it becomes a bit difficult. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, that's right. It's an ego issue. Yeah, you're right.
So there is that understand that, you know, there's a psychiatrist who actually done a lot of work on consciousness, and they developed a map of consciousness that, you know, personalities like Prabhupada, Buddha, Lord Buddha would be in a field of consciousness which is far, far higher. But we get covered up by other energy fields like anger, pride, envy, which covers up the love and the love, peace, and forgiveness. Those are the three that lie actually in a higher field of consciousness, which is covered up by pride and shame and grief and all sorts of things like that. So there's a lot of work that can be done. You know, some therapists can help with that sort of thing and all that. But there has to come to a point where first love, then there's this forgiveness, and you only have develop peace within your heart when you come to that point. Okay, sorry.
There's another aspect which I don't know if Indulekha, if you're going to cover in your in the presentation, is forgiving is one aspect, but then forgetting is another aspect. And I heard somebody say, which is such a nice point. Forgiving is great, but then to forget somebody's been offensive to you, how do you do that? And the point the devotee made was the only way you can forget, the only one way you can forget is completely immerse yourself in the Lord's service. It's the only possible way to forget somebody has done harm to you. So that's a really very interesting, I don't know if you're going to research that point, but that'll be interesting to also have a look at.
Yes, Prabhuji, I have to, because there is no forgiveness without forgetting. Unless we forget, then we can forgive, right? So I am going to add that point also. Thank you.
How to forget. So Kaushalya?
Yes, Prabhu, I think very well explained everything. I think really nice, you know.
Yes, good. Thank you so much, Maji. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhu.
Prabhuji. Yes, maybe in this forgiving and forgetting, there is an underlying fear that maybe we may encounter same problem with the person, or something which prevent us to, this fear prevent us to forget and forgive. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, definitely.
There are those, you know, victims of, say, for example, somebody's child has been murdered, and serial killer or something, and then the family or the mother will say, you know, okay, I'll forgive that person for whatever, but I won't forget what he has actually done. So that's a tough one, but it's an individual to deal with, you know. But like you said, forgiveness, then forgetfulness eventually comes with time, but only when you engage in devotion service to the Lord. Yeah, like you said, Nabi. Yeah.
Yeah, Prabhuji, just like you just said, if we take the example of Draupadi, when her 5 sons were killed by Aswatthama, she could feel the pain, and she didn't want Aswatthama's mother to endure the same pain. Then she forgave, but she was very elevated personality. We cannot be compared to her. But that is an example that I can use in my talk. Yeah. Yes, thank you.
Same thing with Gandhari, you know, she even went to the extent of cursing Krishna.
Cursing Krishna, yes. She could not forgive, yes.
Yeah.
This point about Karuna, that one of the things that might hold us back from forgiving or be a stumbling block is the fear that we may again encounter the same situation. That's an interesting point as well we need to look at. because you know, that's something that happens again and again and again and again. So if we forgive, we're going to get hurt again. So that's an interesting point as well, because we shouldn't be doormats. Guru Maharaj taught us to stand up and face, not be weak. And so that we need to also address. But I think if we hold a grudge, then that possibly so crosses the line. But if we are strong enough to hold our ground, at the same time, you know, not sort of hold grudges, and it's a really fine points, really difficult to put necessarily into practice. But definitely Guru Maharaj, through his life, encountered so many challenging situations, but he never shied away from, you know, facing those challenges. He always faced them head on. You know, even at the end, in his towards, you know, when we were with him, he was, you know, he was fearless, absolutely fearless, and he was happy to take on any situation, which is such an example.
Comes to the self-esteem issue as well, doesn't it?
Yeah, self-esteem. Because we keep forgiving, we keep forgiving, we keep forgiving, and you know, do we lose ourselves? You know, we just have to. It's incredible balance. We do need to find something that we can live with and function without being completely pessimist and defeatist mood. Because then how are you going to do your bhakti? What sort of bhakti?
Prabhuji, there are two things here. There is one being weak and one being humble and one being forgiveness. So we have to kind of work around these three to show that we are not weak. Because I give in, I'm not weak. Don't think that I'm weak. You know, I have been through so much challenges. You have been through so much challenges in life, but we have stood straight and showed that we are not weak. It's just that we are forgiving. That is what is there.
Yeah, no, looking forward to it, Maji. You've got a lot of passion for that.
Next year, Prabhuji.
Very good, very good. That will actually.
I have to do the Ramayan first. But I would request if devotees can come with some questions so that I can get more ideas and remember more things. So that would be great.
But this will actually enhance our learning and our character building. You know, these things will really make a difference in our lives. You know, so well done, Maji. Very good. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Oh yes, so let's go to the. Forgot about these things. Let's go to the lessons and instruction.
Yeah. Okay. Srimad Bhagavatam lesson so far is we are on Canto 4, Chapter 1. Whenever we make a promise, we must fulfill it so that peace and harmony can reign in our life, as it is a long-lasting value. So here we go again. It's a long-lasting value, and Chapter 2. We must never judge a person by their appearance, as it may be misleading. We must always consider that there is a spirit soul inside the body. Chapter 3. When one becomes proud of their possessions and position, they become blind spiritually and they cannot discriminate positively. Thus, they tend to offend others. Chapter 4. People who are envious and who offend devotees, taking them to be materialistic. So gradually but surely they fall down. Chapter 5, the Supreme Personality of Godhead never tolerates the insult of his devotees. He personally comes to punish the miscreants. Hare Krishna.
Okay. Okay, Madhusudan Prabhu. Oops.
Okay, hi, Ball. Yeah. So this is 6 and 7. I kind of put it together in one sense because it's a continuous shape, you know, the way it develops. So we should study how Lord Brahma pacifies Lord Shiva on behalf of Daksha and all the participants of the yajna. So after the yajna and happened and all the devastation had taken place and all that, And then, they all approach Lord Brahma. And then together with Lord Brahma, they all went to Lord Shiva. So they obviously learned how to pacify. It's already pacified, but then, there is a knack of doing it. And I suppose there's an etiquette as well with that, and respect and rightful positions of different personalities, to be respected. We are being instructed that Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu are not different, in the sense that Lord Shiva is an incarnation of Lord Vishnu and acts on behalf of Vishnu. Just like milk in yogurt and milk in its original form are non-different. So like you were trying to say, Lord Vishnu is untouched by the material nature, but when it does, then it converts into Shiva. So Lord Shiva is obviously very unique personality. It's very difficult to understand, but like you say, it's milk and yogurt, but the same. As all different personalities offer prayers to Lord Vishnu according to their abilities, how we've seen that, how the Brahmins and the fire gods and all these different, Gandharva, they offer their prayers, Lord Shiva, in their own different ways according to their ability and everything. So we should also learn to offer prayers by mercy of Guru and Gauranga as per our own ability. But as time goes by, like even you was mentioning how Jayanti was reading about Dhruva Maharaj, and he was given the words, somehow, the words come out from the heart. So by the mercy of Narad Muni and that. So hopefully we come to that point someday when our heart gradually melts. And that's again the point, that unless the heart is touched, there is no act of forgiveness that comes out, and all that. So I hope that helps. Okay, thank you.
Thank you. That's really good. So tomorrow, Nani Ben, I would just want to ask you, it's 82 verses in the 7th chapter. Is it ninth chapter? Ninth? Or is it, hang on, sorry. 8th chapter. Yeah,
8th chapter, sorry, Prabhuji.
8 chapters, 82 verses. So, and then the following chapter has, let me just have a look, 67 verses. So that's going to be 140 verses. Shall we just do one chapter?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay.
Because tomorrow I've got also Sanskrit class, so
okay.
I have to prepare for that as well, for a Thursday.
That's fine. Because also it's the, sorry.
Thursday morning I work as well, so
okay. You're working as well. Okay.
Working as well on Thursday morning. Yes.
Okay. So let's just do one chapter. The reason also is we're moving into a new phase.
Yes.
We've finished the pastime of Daksha. Now we're going into a really phenomenal pastime of Dhruv Maharaj.
Yes.
So that will take a little time anyway.
Yes.
So, okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for that. Okay, thank you very much today. We shall wrap it up. Lord Shiva ki jai, 4th canto ki jai, Shri Vishnu ki jai. Where am I? Oh, here I am.